Hello Facebook Ohana, D here with but another video confirmation of some heavy things that's been going on. Just today when I was with my family, um, it was kuka about the events that's been taking place. Another family had stopped by my family right here in Pahala had stopped by and said that they had experienced seeing something that was quite startling to them. They had seen this energy, actually two, that kind of looked like a silhouettes, and that the kids had been walking through the school, and they had been chased by what they could only describe as being a very tall man, at least 7 or 8 feet tall, but it turned out to be like this tall, dark silhouette of a person. And then this Ohana that the parent of this family said that when she came home, she saw that the kids were kind of startled, but they were in their fence. So she said, I thought the kids were maybe seeing something, or maybe the kids were saying, or maybe or some kind of stranger that was in town. So she said, but as we were standing in the yard, this person walked out into the street light, and she went out of the yard to see who is this, who are you? Get the heck out of here! And she said she came face to face with this tall 7 foot, or looked like a tall 7 foot shadow being thing. And she said what this what was trippy is that it was holding on to this metallic object in his hand. And when she walked up to it, at first she was thinking she's going to confront a person, like some kind of stranger, and tell him, what the hell are you doing, scaring the hell out of my kids. And as she got closer to what she thought was a person, it turned out to be a shadow, a very tall shadow that was in the street light, in the light that was shining on the road. And she said that when it saw her, it dropped whatever metallic object it had in its hand, and it ran away really. She said it sprinted off really fast, and that's when she didn't get Macau. She got taken back. She was like, "What the heck was that?" So she came back, and then she said, when she went on Facebook, she saw my posts about the opening of the energy vortexes and of seeing these things. And she actually came to my house today, and she said, "Brother D, what you were saying is true. She said, for the first time I saw this stuff." And she said, I thought was one, and she said, my kids pastor was walking to the school at night, and this one night she seen what her daughter seen, what they thought was a man standing on the porch, but it was a very tall man, like 7, almost 8 feet tall, really big, and and they could make out the silhouette, and it began to kind of chase her daughter through the school grounds. And this is what I was talking about these things, and it's even people that haven't experienced these things or have seen these things are now beginning to see the manifestation of these things. And she said when she first saw this thing coming into the street light, she thought it was just it was like on some kind of stranger. So she went out, actually walked out of her fence, walked up towards the street light where this thing was standing. And she said at some point when she got closer to it, she saw that it wasn't a man. It was just this black shadow looking thing. So she kind of get makauwale. And then, but she said she stood her ground though. But I guess when the reality hit her that it wasn't somebody, and then when she stood her ground, she said this thing was holding some kind of metallic object in its hand, and it dropped it, and then it shot off like just really fast, like it sprinted up back into the shadows. And I told her, I said, this is why it's important for us to teach our kids about pule, and how to shield ourselves, and how to bless the four corners of our house, four corners of our yard. And she had said about how in addition to that, some strange things have been happening with animals of hers. Like, I don't know if she had two, I think it was two, possibly three, of her animals had been killed in her yard. And when you say killed, I mean like something or someone had come over the fence and had grabbed the animal's faces and squeezed its mouth, shot, and I don't know what it did, but she said to the point of where the tongue was actually sticking out of the mouth and its teeth was clenched into its tongue. So they know that it was something or someone had squeezed the animal's mouth. And she's been in prayer. I said, you gotta pull it. It's all those things are signs. And I said, because the animals will let you know because they can see. Animals and little children, they can see these things, and they're gonna let you know. That's why I tell people, you pay attention to your children because the little ones, they can see things. If you get things in your yard, things in your house, they're gonna tell you, "Oh, mama, look the man. Oh, look the man over there." She didn't pick it up because she was. Yeah, she didn't because I guess being Macau and and then I guess it wasn't, when they go back and look, nothing was there, but she knew it was some kind of metallic object that it had. I told her I thank God she didn't go close because that thing could have been some kind of weapon of something. But she said the way it moved, the speed with which it moved, she knew it wasn't one human, though it was bipedal. It had like a head and hands and legs. It looked humanoid, whatever this energy was. So, being that she had mentioned to us about where they've been seeing the concentration of this thing, my sister Norma and Auntie Reina went up and they did a clearing in the area where they had seen this energy. It was right here in town. They had to go up to them, they walk the whole area and then do pulley bless, because these things were being seen. And this thing has been happening for quite some time around the elementary and around the school area. Because I remember some other community members in school saying that some children had witnessed seeing some shadow forms during the daytime, having walked around the school, and they made comments about it. Now, what bothers me is that these energies they've opened what I call an energetic vortex near the school. But today one of my sisters and another light worker that works with us, who has learned protocols for closing these things, actually went to the school area and walked through the school and then oki and close and then pulley and then bless all the area. But with the quaking and shaking of the earth, a lot of these ancient things is opening up, and we got to be maka'ala. Back in the old days, during the time of our grandparents and great grandparents, there was more of our Poe Kanaka that was aware of these things. But as we become westernized, we get taught not to do hunamana, not to go and practice our Hawaiian practices. While our tutus that actually was aware that these things existed was the ones counteracting and keeping everything safe. But because they become westernized, they made other people's beliefs their beliefs. Now look, we're having to deal with these things now. You know what I mean? And I mean, praise and thanks to Akua that we are rising up to the occasion. But today I couldn't go with my sisters today. My energy was, I was just like, my energy was depleted. And I know better than to do any spiritual type of work if I'm not up to par energetically. So in that way, the ones that do go to do the hana, to actually close the energy, we remain back in the background and pulley as prayer warriors. It's important that when you go do this kind of work, that you have prayer warriors behind of you. And I thank each and every one of you who, when I ask for you guys pule, that the ones that actually not just say that you pule, but you actually right there and then you guys pule. I thank you guys, and believe it or not, we can feel you guys pule, and the energy, that the loving energy of blessedness is redirected to whatever cause. Because we get urgent prayer requests all the time for families. It pours in 24/7, round the clock. My message boxes is so full with people that need pule and prayers. And I thank each and every one of you, prayer warriors, children of the light, children of the Most High God, the ones that take the time out to pule for others. Because every single one of us, at one time or another in our lives, going to need that pule. And we like to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. So when we are in our time of need and we need that prayer, believe me, you're going to ask for that prayer at some point in your life. Because we all go through these experiences. And I thank you guys for taking the time out, because there have been so much distraught families that's been going through things. And of lately, there's been a great uptick and rise in families experiencing supernatural things. Families that never did see these kind of things, now we're seeing them. Praise and thank God, because every time I will need that extra help or that extra oomph, like for the work that we do, the mana work that we do, Akua gonna send somebody. I will send my sister, I will send Auntie Reina today to help, Mm-hmm. Well, but the Kenja, the children now, the young ones, they are. Yeah, I agree. And that was part of my manao with the sanctuary and the temple. Too, was that we are willing that it be a safe place, to do blessed things and to teach things of the light. But there's been a lot of young folks too that's been awakening, that don't understand. So of course we've been meeting the families, and the families been coming, and then slowly talking and sharing. And it's important that if you have the Ike, if your child has the sight, that it is nurtured in a very safe environment where these things can be nurtured and taught, and they can be taught the kuleana behind of awakening, and using the third eye, using the Ike Papa Lua in a safe and lovingly conducive way that can help and bless people. It's important that we nurture this. And in the old times, during the time of our ancestors, there was certain kupuna that you could go with, or certain kahuna you could go with, and the child from a young age, you could spot them. You knew, this one get the Ike, this one get the Noho, this one can see. And those qualities was nurtured, and they were not ostracized for it. But today, as we become westernized, we become modernized in the Western culture, these things become looked down at. And I'm telling you, by us looking down at our children that is gifted, causing them to don't talk like that. That's your imagination. To shun those gifts, we are doing a great disservice to not only ourselves, but to everyone that could be blessed by the nurturing of these certain children. And it's important that if you have these children in your ohana, I always believe what my tutu ladies used to say. You always go to Nkupuna in your own ohana first, before you go outside of your ohana. If you have children that need guidance in this way, you always take them to the eldest kupuna in your ohana. That you gonna know who is your kupuna in your ohana. This been happening to my baby, this and this and this. But what I'm seeing is, as a lot of our poe kanaka are becoming westernized, and sadly accepting, and sadly becoming Christianized and westernized, they are being taught to shun these abilities. Now, I have to tell you guys too that there is a kuleana with the use of the gifts, that there's a fine line when you're using the gifts where because you have to notice too that the dark side, the dark ones, they can grant gifts too. Because I've been working with families that's been getting the Ike, but this is the kicker. If your gift is truly from above, then you should be able to have discernment. Discernment is the ability to tell if something you're seeing is of the light and the darkness. You won't only see one type. Like, oh, I always get bad visions, and bad visions always happen. If you only have bad visions and bad visions always happen, you need to put a pulikako, because that gifts could be something being granted to you by one dark one, who the ones who we call a dark one. Because the dark side can also grant the Ike, the dark Ike of the pole. Okay, and the more one uses the Ike in that way, the ones that's from the dark side, it corrupts the person. There's symptoms that the person will have as they use in the Ike. They'll get like what seems to be like stomach cramps, but it's actually because the Uhani, the soul, actually sits in the Na'au area. And when the person is using this Ike, that Ike that is not from the light, it's from the dark side, they're going to begin to have they're going to begin to have what appears to be like cramps in the Na'au area, in the stomach area. But what they have to be careful, they need to do a cleansing. They need to bless, get akai, make salt water, bless it, and then drink a little bit, and then pull it, and then also the pico of the tea leaf, the white. When you pull it out, get the white part. You chew and you eat that. You can eat the white part and you swallow them as you do in your pulia, but you also ask for prayers in the la'au that you use to, and that you gather, and then when you gather when as the sun is rising, the early morning sun that first hit the tea leaf, that's the one you pick. And then by the time the sun reached 12 o'clock daytime, when the sun is starting to descend, you don't like gather la'au, because the mana is growing in the la'au as you do in your puli, from when the sun is rising to when it peaks at 12 o'clock. That's usually the time of gathering, and then you pull it through everything. You gonna know if it's meant for you to gather the la'au, and then you pull it and you ask in accordance, with all of that. Yes. And Brother Dikendri, I know that you're well aware of spiritual battle. I know, because I could feel you all know. And there, people don't realize, like that's why in one of my past posts, not recently I did, people think it's fun and games. A lot of children, there's a lot of young people, teenagers and a little bit older, that think it's fun and games because they see things on TV and then they like go pursue these things. It's nothing wrong, seeking, searching, finding your way, but there's certain things that need to be in place before you do any type of spirit walk, before you do any type of where you uhani hele come out of your body. There's shielding, there's grounding, and then you're also going to ask of the heavenly host to be with you and to protect you as you go on these journeys. Just go. You know what I mean? And a lot of the young people are doing these things because they see them on TV or they go on YouTube. They see on video of how to meditate and how to have astral projection, astral traveling out of their bodies. That's dangerous. Without training, without people. And I'm not saying that I know everything about it, but for myself, when I've experienced these things, there is kulyana, and you got to be careful, because the etheric planes is a medium dimension between the high heaven and between the earth. In the etheric plane, like how you have good humans, you have bad humans on the earth. Also, in the other various subsequential dimensions, you have good etheric beings of pure light and love, and you also have bad beings on those dimensions. And that's the one commonality between the different dimensions, is you get good, you get bad. You know what I mean? And discernment is a very important gift. That's the ability to tell when you if you see this energy and it begins to speak to you, if you're in tune, you're gonna know right off the bat. Amen, Tita Loveland, amen. You're gonna know right off the bat if it's meant. Trust the Na'au and trust the Ike. You know what I mean? And it's important for us to be aware of these things, because now look, this today when our family went stop by. And they said they were saying that, your post is eerily appropriate, because that's exactly what we was going through. You know what I mean? Yeah. But one of my posts about the paradox that we're in, the energetic paradox that we're experiencing now, where multiple overlapping timelines are happening. What I was just told today by heaven and by my angels is, they said, don't be afraid. Don't worry. They don't. The one thing heaven doesn't want us to do is to be in a state of fear. They want us to be centered. But when I share these things with you, it's not. I'm not one to promote fear, but I am one to promote wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Which is when we're seeing these things, I'm being compelled to share with you folks. Therefore, you know what to pray for, and that no matter what we see, we stay centered in the light and in God. We for our religious ohana that know about standing in the holy place. Now we're being told to step up to the plate. Now you gotta get off your okolas, and it's not about just sitting back and watching the story unfold. Every single one of you gotta get up and bear your cross. Every single one of us have to step up to the plate and pull in now, and we pray for each other, and we pray for each other's families. Every single one of us. You cannot just ride, or you cannot just cut on someone else. Because every single one of us get on role to play, and we can and like I said, like back in the old times when you had a certain kupuna, there was kahuna that would go and deal with these kind of things. They had their group of prayer warriors that would pray in the background and to strengthen, because different people get different gifts. Some gifts is shielding and protection and healing, and then some is to actually go and pa'i the dark side, to go and deal and oki, you know what I mean? And you go know, mine specific. Well, mine in a way is a little bit of both, but I've erred more on the side of like shielding and healing, and practice healing and shielding, and then for myself, you know what I mean? But I know of others who I am not at liberty to mention the names because I don't think it's okay to mention the name on social media, that I actually trained to go out and play the dark side, to actually take them on. And I want our poet Kanaka, our Hawaiian people to understand this, to know this. And before the Westerners came here and teach us that we was satanic worshippers, and we was doing all this darkness. I want to tell you this: we had kahunas of the light that was so powerful. I will tell you guys this for real. It was so powerful. They could go into the demonic realms and pound the demons in their own territory. That's how powerful it was. One of our uncles was from Molokai, and he was one of the last of that line that you could do that. They could actually go into that realm in the dream time on the demon's turf and pound the hell out of him, for real. And I don't know if that uncle, if anybody else in his ohana, is still carrying on the hana, because that kind is the poe haole we call them what is called a red eye seer, where they can actually see, and then they can go in and then manapai them. They can actually go in and bind them, and then when they bind the entity, but see, when the poe haole came, the haole people came, they never understand these kind of things. Well, this was so beyond anything in the awareness that they was like, and automatically the nature of man, the instinctual nature of man, that when they do not understand something spiritual, is they assign one negative polarity to, must be no good, must be no good. No, these seers had their place, they had their reason and their purpose. And when these types of trained individuals was wiped out with the influx of the Western influence, not only were we left unprotected, these what I refer to as mo'o kahuna, or even what Brother Dikenji is talking about, these beings were tasked with protecting the energetic vortexes on the aina. And certain places we get heiau, is not all heiau is of the light. Get some places dark, and I tell you, these places that was dark was shielded, had to be shielded, and that's why it was kapu. No one was allowed there, because get certain energetic vortexes on the earth that you go to, that is direct doorways to places like ever going to. And these places, the ancestors at times, sometimes they would block them off. That's why you would see them be stone walled off, and it was kapu. You couldn't go there. Same with the lanas. But today, like down South Point, with the cliffs where everybody got jump off over there, near to that area is a lena. It's called a lena. That's where the uhani jump off into the next realm. And that's why you get plenty people uahala or they make when they go over there kind places. It's not just random coincidental drownings or people fall off the cliff or the kind. Our tutus knew where these places was, but this knowledge is no one's passed on because everybody became westernized. And then now we wonder how come get so much people go over there, run, fall off the cliff or uhala, makikia, yeah? Because it's laying us. Just like down Waipio Valley, where the river meet the ocean. Over there is an entranceway into Po. I get a family member that never know when go over the swim, when drown. And a mysterious being that came in the form of a surfer, when dived down, saved her, brought her back up. And she's alive today. But get places that our tutu, this not just superstitious stuff, people. You gotta understand that when Akua create creation, there's certain mysteries in creation that is so far beyond anything you guys can even begin to understand. And that's part of the kuliana and the respect of Aloha Aina, of knowing where these places is, and no go question, and no go over there and go trespass. Give on reason, if the tutus went block them off, give on reason why the ancestors went block them off. The same way like how the ancestors in Japan went put up those big stone pillars to mark where the tsunamis come in. But modern man go build the modern cities past the stone blocks. Now get the big tsunami come in, wipe out everything. And the water only came up to those stone pillars. How come now we ask that? Well, because modern men think that they know everything. To throw out all of the wisdom, the accumulated wisdom of our ancestors for this Western way, to throw them out and to follow this new way, rejecting everything that our ancestors learned from studying the cosmos, from watching nature, observing nature for thousands of generations, is pure ignorance and will lead to many being hurt. And that's why we have to realize there's a value in our culture, in all cultures. And not to get off the subject, but sadly, I saw it too when I went to Japan. There's a lot of, because, and don't get me wrong, I love the teaching of the Christ. I was raised in Christianity and also raised in our Hawaiian practices in Hunamana. But what I'm seeing is Christianity is on the rise in Japan. There's a lot of Japanese people that are becoming Christians. But you know what is one sad side effect of that? A lot of them are no longer attending to their temples. And their temples are more than just religious sites. This is the heritage. This is who they are. Akua made them Kepani for a reason. This is the specialness and they're special, and Akua loves them for their not only the intricate the fact that they're different, but God made them Kepani for a reason. He made us Kanaka for a reason. And they're giving up, and a lot of their temples are becoming like museum-like derelict places that they're not practicing in anymore. Because they gave up, and this is more than just a religious, this is who they are. This is their heritage. There's thousands of years of heritage and culture steeped into the history of these places that are now, they're museums. Tourists go there, visit them all the time. But a lot of them are becoming derelict places of museums that is being neglected because they're taking on a foreign way. You know what I mean? It's not too bad that they learn the teachings of Christianity, but then not forget the cultural heritage. You know what I mean? And it's being preserved as museums, but it's just, when I saw it, was like, when I went to there, if you tour places with an intuitive that can see, you will get a different picture than even what might be said on the museum. You know how the museum get a little write-up about the history of the place. But you should go to one ancient site with an intuitive that can actually see. They can give you like an in-depth, like they can feel. A lot of the sites that I went to, have battles on them, but they were not dark places. Like would have been taught by Westerners when they came in. That they were not dark places. Some of these places were temples of light that are now derelict and left unattended because nobody will carry on the priesthood, to hold these sites. Yes. Yeah. And you know why, Tita Cookie? It's because a lot of our people have accepted Western ways, and they were taught that the practices of holding, and the mo'okahuna, who is known as the dragon priests. They were called the Mo'okahuna because they tended to the dragon ley lines is the energetic ley lines of the earth. They were the ones tasked with keeping these places clear from dark energy and holding them and keeping them sanctified and clean so that the energy could flow across Mother Earth. Our brother Don Martin, who is the highest of the high priests in Machu Picchu, from hundreds of generations and possibly even thousands of generations of high priests that came and did ceremony. He is what we would call a Mo'okahuna of Machu Picchu. And these certain sites where when we reconnect the pu'olo of these sites was to help hold the earth's grid together in this quaking and shaking. Everybody thought we was crazy. We was talking about the earth and the volcanoes going off. And look now. And by no means is this power. We can give thanks that yes, as destructively powerful as Tutu Pele has been, she's been relatively gentle compared to the volcanic activity that's been going on in Guatemala and in other parts of the world that's been completely violent. The kind end of civilization kind of violent, like Pompeii kind of violent, like sadly what will happen in Guatemala, which is near Machu Picchu, a neighboring area, where the thing went blast off and went killed that whole freaking village. You know what I mean? So we can give thanks that the shift that's happening here, as powerful as Tutu Pele is, she's been quite gentle with us here. The energy and the energy of the mother has been quite gentle with us here. So, and then even reconnecting with the Mo'okahunas from China that came, believe it or not, and we never arranged none of these things, people. These people came and we will all meet. And this is how it was. This is how my great grandfather, Sylvester Capellino, how grandma guys used to say, there were certain times in the year where he would go with strange people and they would just meet out of the blues. Well, it's like he would step out of the boots, we would step into the shoes, and it's happening with us. And this is what is being arranged from above, not us. There's no ego involved in what's going on. And how we're meeting, and then we recognize there's a mutual respect. We love each other, send love and light, and then we exchange pu'olo, connecting our sites. So Machu Picchu is now attuned to our temple over here. When Brother Don Martin came, the highest of the high priests of Machu Picchu came, and he was initiated by lightning 3 times, struck by lightning. And the 3rd time he was struck by lightning in Machu Picchu, he stayed awake for almost a week. And the story was shared with us because our sister Elizabeth is the translator for them when they came, and we was kuka together, all of us. The temple priest, it was talking. And then also his Manao, when he came too, was they were to help shield and help protect us too as well with what was going on. And they've never been to Ka'u, never knew this place, but they saw that they needed to come. And when he came and when he did the puli on Macanao, lightning came up from the ground. I never knew that. And we were blessed. And lightning came into my feet. And that's the one I was telling you guys about how I thought I was going to mock it because it was so powerful. It was like I was being electrocuted. And without him saying anything, I know there's certain things that is left unsaid. That if you're in tune, you just know, you know what I mean? And they knew we was battling the dark ones too. Because that came out in the conversation about how they knew that we were battling the dark ones, but that we were holding the energy grid of Haumea, and the energy grid of Miskayani, which they call Miskayani in their culture. And they said, perhaps we could share with you. We could compare notes and share with you how we've been battling them. And therein share Don Martin and his I think that was like his Hanai son, that is the highest of the high priests of the Inca from Machu Picchu came, and we kuka about the Earth Mother. And was trippy because Tita Elizabeth, that was their translator, was sharing, and she was like blowing her mind. Yeah, because see what most people don't know is before, Tito Cookie, because way before Tutu Pele came, when Tutu Pele came with the Ara Akua from Tahiti, there was the one known as Aila'au that was here. And as Mu, the energy of Mu is becoming reconnected and rising, And that's why Tita Cookie, that's why Tutu Pele came and told us that she was moving to Haleakala, that she was coming from Puna, and she showed us that she was drawing down all of her energy from the craters. She was pulling her energy down and then moving, and then we saw the movement of the energy coming through Mauna Loa, and then right above the Kau area, the energy from Mauna Loa drops down deep, and then there's another ledge, drops down a second time, and then goes perpendicular at an angle towards South Point, and then from South Point out towards Haleakala. Then when us went to Maui, the Ike came in that Tutu Hiyako was moving from where she was near the Kaupo Gap, that she was moving to another location in Maui, but she did not reveal where she was moving. And she said that was not for us to know. And so a lot of what we're seeing now, the name of the ancient name of Ailao coming up now is not coincidental. Because that is what was during the time of Mu. That is the one that was during the time of Mu before Tutu Pele and her Ohana migrate here from Tahiti. But the energy is moving and shifting again because Haumea is moving. The earth is shaking and moving. And then when I was going to go to Japan, you remember when I told you guys that in Osaka where we were going, I had that vision where I saw the portals open up? Well, just recently I had a massive shaking in Osaka. And I have a feeling that there will be more of these quaking and shaking that could happen in that area. But the Lake Biwako is already attuned to Macanao and to Machu Picchu already, and also to the Forbidden City in China when the high priest, when they came from China and they did the ceremony with us too. And if you ask me, these synchronistic events is totally mind blowing because we never planned none of these things. It was just things that would happen, and we trust our Ike, we move with the flow. And these dragon priests is the ones that we talk about, the dragon ley lines. This is the spine of the mo'o, the kuihivi, the backbone of the mo'o. And these ley lines is also what interconnects the continents, the energetic continents. And a lot of the shipping routes, the ancient, like the Silk Road and the shipping routes, or not too much people knew, and I'll review this now for the first time on social media, is that the ancient Silk Road was actually a part of the ley line that actually ran throughout that region of the Orient. And the front cover story was the Silk Road. But the priests had to find a way to maintain these areas along the Silk Road, but they were actually energetic ley lines that connected parts of Haumea. And the universe is speaking to us in art. Art is imitating life, and we're getting Ho'ailona, we're getting science, And so today, another Ohana had stopped by out of the blues. And like I said initially, and was sharing about what they had experienced here. And it's just mind blowing because I had a really deep conversation with Jim Boy about the shifting energies that's happening now, and how not only us but even people that have nothing to do with spirituality are saying they feel like something is slightly off. But Ho'omanava Nui, stay in the light, stay centered, stay in the love, and hold the energy of love and light. But be in the moment. No think far about yesterday, no think far about tomorrow, far into the future. Be in the moment, be fluid, and that's the teaching. Because as we be fluid and we be in the moment, we can move through these changing energies. But when you become stagnant and stuck, you get stuck on one person, place, thing, event, and like release that energy, then that's when like negative things been happening to people. Yes. Yes, I believe so. Yes, Brother Dikendri. We knew too the significance of Token's work, that it was actually channeled work, and Token said too that it was written about and placed on the other side of the earth. It had nothing to do with England and with that area, and that's what everybody think, but it's not. So yeah, it's very much so. Yeah, and art imitates life, and the universe has its way of showing us visual aids, and I believe that we've been getting these things. And to every one of our light workers out there, thank you guys very much. We continue in the work. We keep anchoring down the energy of heaven and staying in the flow. God bless you guys. I love you guys in light and life eternal. I am the oneness, Gavinio Di Kiao Okalani. Until next time, aloha.